So this is a question we're asking all the guests on the show in this series. You know, what can HR do to drive more value?
Be closer to the business. Speak the language that leaders care about. For sure, be more data-driven. Persuade people with data, with evidence. I think prediction is an underutilized tool or weapon here, because if you tell people, if you do this, engagement will go up and then productivity will go up, and then that happens, they'll pay attention. And then, you know, focus on nurturing and developing talent inside your function, not just outside your function. You know, so the biggest opportunity to develop talent in an organization is within HR. And I think evangelizing and persuading leaders to function more like talent management heads or HR directors themselves.
And there's so much really that HR can learn from marketing. Clearly there's a nuance between customers and employees, but they are people. And, you know, marketing is now in pretty much every organization a data-driven function. It brings data to the table. It really understands and segments their customers. There clearly is an opportunity to do that in HR with employees as well.
Absolutely. And I think that it's extraordinary how in the last 5 or 10 years, marketing has almost co-opted HR as a marketing story, or has utilizes, like, you know, which makes perfect sense, because I think most companies would do rather well if they could hire the most faithful or loyal customers, you know, and actually the best company cultures are the ones where you can see almost perfect congruence or alignment between what you read on the website in terms of what the company culture is, how the brand is perceived, and how employees perceive the culture there. You know, so I think there has been a huge synergy enabled by data and technology between marketing and HR. You know, I think this will continue, particularly if most companies are trying to provide employees with a consumer-like experience. Then they need to think like marketeers. And of course, if marketeers are interested in understanding their customers, they need to think like HR people, because they need to understand their personality, their values, their interests, and their dispositions.
So last thing, thank you for being a guest on the show. I can't believe we finished the conversation, but please can you let listeners know how they can stay in touch with you and follow you on social media and read the great articles that you're putting out there?
Yeah, sure. So I think that the simplest way is if they go to my website. It's rather old-fashioned to give a URL for a website, but that's still where they can find, you know, relatively up-to-date summary of my activities and writing. So it's drtomas.com, drtomas.com, and otherwise on Twitter at drtcp. So drtcp, and pleasure to be on your show, Dave. I'm conflicted because I always listen to your podcasts, but I never listen to the ones that I partake in. So I don't know which side will win, whether my affinity for your podcasts or, you know, my tendency to avoid listening to myself.
Thomas, thanks very much. Thanks for being on the show.
Pleasure.
In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice, and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.